Hey everybody, this is Minion Soldier, and I hope you're ready because we really do have some ship updates, and they are doozies. They are huge, they are big, they are awesome. Well, not all awesome. Some of them are kinda yikes, but we're going to start off with the good stuff. We're going to start off with the elephant in the room, the new vehicle, the G12. The G12 is Origin's land vehicle. There is the racing model, there's the military model, and the base touring model. Now, the base touring model, for my money, is the best of the three. It has a cargo space in it. It has guns on top. It's a two-man vehicle. Presumably, one operates the turret, the other one drives the vehicle, though possibly the driver can also operate the turret, if there isn't someone else around. But that cargo hauling capacity is massive. One of the big reasons why you may have to use cargo hauling vehicles in the Star Citizen universe is because you may not in the future be able to fly directly to where you want to go, but you might have to haul cargo. And that is an important feature of ground vehicles that a lot of people kind of forget about. So that is something great. Now, the so-called combat model, the 12A, features 4 missiles and presumably 4 more in a ready rack, so 8 missiles in total, I believe. And that's it for the combat model. It should have a turret as well. I don't know why it doesn't, but it should. In my mind, of the three, this is the weakest offering. Missiles and countermeasures. So what? When I saw this, this was kind of, just kind of a what? Even this model that we're about to see here, the Racer, it comes with an EMP. It comes with an EMP generator on the back of it. That has some very interesting combat potential, much more so, I would argue, than missiles. Because if you're on the ground and a ship is flying around you and it's, giving you a hard time, setting off an EMP and forcing him to crash into the ground, potentially, if he gets too close, that is pretty awesome. Now, the pricing on these things is very aggressive. The two best models are the cheapest, at least in my opinion. The EMP racing model and the base version with cargo and a turret are $55, which compared to other ground vehicles is an extremely reasonable price. The military model, being the weakest of the three, is the most, is the highest at $60. But honestly, I like the base touring and I like the racing model. And I'm not saying that because, I want to go do ground racing or, just for a luxury vehicle to fly around on the planet with. These are two things that make a lot of sense. And I think that the practical applications, especially of the touring model in the Star Citizen universe going forward, there's a very strong case for that vehicle in particular. It's compact, it's not oversized. I assume that most of the ships that you would expect to be able to fit these things in, like a Connie, or potentially now, as we found out, the Star Runner, ? That is a very strong offering, but the military model, that's a page 1 rewrite. Now, there is a ship that we are particularly fond of on this channel. And it's the Cutlass Black is a legend. It really is. And I would say that as far as Star Citizen is concerned, it is probably pound for pound, dollar for dollar, and I'm talking real world dollars, one of the best ships that you can buy in Star Citizen. It has got a huge fan base, and I believe it is in the top 3 of the most flown ships in the universe. It's iconic. There are other ships that you see in the adverts for Star Citizen, things that, that are much flashier, much more photogenic looking, shall we say. But realistically, when you get into the Star Citizen universe, when you start playing in the PU, the ship that you see time and time again is the Drake Cutlass. Well, surprise, surprise, Our family just got bigger, and it's flight ready right now. Ladies and gentlemen, the Drake Cutlass Blue, flight ready, in game, ahead of schedule, which is something that, if you're new to Star Citizen, is exceedingly rare. When a ship arrives ahead of schedule, it's often like, well, maybe one more quarter to kind of get some extra polish in there. But, reinforcing something that I've said about other Drake ships that I think that should be in the pipeline, it's because, they come together fairly quickly, though in all fairness, a large amount of the work that was done on the Cutlass Blue was done back in 2017 and then pushed aside for other ships of vastly lesser quality. Which, could be just about any of them, really, compared to the Drake ships. Yeah, it's here. It's flyable. Go forth and conquer. Enjoy. I wish I had one, and who knows? At the end of Fleet Week, I just might. But when I saw this and that this was flight ready, I was overjoyed. Shocked and overjoyed. Good job, CIG. Drake is quickly becoming one of those manufacturers that has so many of its ships already in the persistent universe, and there's so few left to be done that you'd almost think, with how easy it is for CIG to build them, that they should probably just get them all done. I can think of one or two off the top of my head. Now, this is, of course, the moment in the video where I, of course, flash up a very quick picture of the Corsair. Like subliminal messaging. Get it done. Well, CIG addressed the Corsair on Star Citizen Live, and it is not currently in the pipeline. And I think later on in the interview, John Crew said that they were finalizing this year's production timetable for ships. Now, of course, these, when we say finalized, let's use air quotes around the word finalized. We know that things change. The Hull C is an obvious example of that. There is a ship that is, so much of it is done, but because there's gameplay components that they are still working on, which they gave an update to. It's a quagmire to get that ship done. But we know that things, jump in and then jump out of the pipeline sometimes in the same week, right? We know that things shift. So fingers crossed that we will see the Drake Corsair sneak into someone else's spot. But something that did sneak in, apparently, something to look forward to, a little hidden surprise that's going to come on Aegis Day during Fleet Week, is a ship that has truly been in limbo for a really long time. Aegis's very own red-headed stepchild, the Redeemer. Apparently, during Fleet Week, John Crew dropped a hint that on Aegis Day, if you want to know what the future of the Redeemer is, go check it out. Yeah. We might be seeing the reconcepted Redeemer at Fleet Week. So not a fully, flight ready thing, though, or I'm assuming 99% sure that it's not flight ready. But the return of the Redeemer, reconcepted, probably up for sale again, a whole new idea, or at least partially new idea. Obviously there's issues with the original ship. It wasn't built with the current metrics in mind. There are fans, there are people who are not quite fans, and there are people who downright hate this ship. But whatever form it's going to take, Aegis Day is going to be plenty interesting, because if CIG plays their cards right with this ship, they could make some big bank on this, especially given the fact that we know the F8 Lightning is in fact not going to be sold at Fleet Week. ships like this, gunships, have become kind of a dominant powerhouse in the Star Citizen universe. I mean, obviously, maybe not so much for Squadron 42, but that's a single-player game. But in the PU, we've seen the gunships are just amazing. And if Aegis plays their cards right, or CIG through Aegis plays their cards right, we may have one hell of a powerhouse ship coming up this week. So before you go out and go like, oh, I'm getting this thing, I'm getting that thing, pay attention to what happens here, because this could very well be a ship worth watching. Or, in this case, buying. But there's one thing that I wanted to talk about, and this has to do with all ships in the Star Citizen universe. One of the features coming in 391, which is the ability to paint and customize your ships. Yes, this is now officially, partially, somewhat a thing. For certain ships, not all. I was kind of going through my laundry list of ships here. You now have a paint option. Now, these are preset liveries. You're not going to be able to kind of go in and customize the color of this, that, or the other thing. Some of them have the slot available. Some of them don't. So this is a feature that's going to come in over time. And there's going to be certain paint jobs that you'll be able to buy over Fleet Week. And then certain paint jobs that you will acquire only through Alpha UEC in-game. Now, I kind of want to go off on a bit of a tangent here, but it's actually thanks to something Lando said on Star Citizen Live. It's going to be the topic of a future Piracy Show episode. But what I would love to also see is paint jobs, not unlike the Pirate Caterpillar style paint job, but paint jobs that you can earn through completing events, tasks, or unique achievements in the persistent universe. But that is something that I'm going to leave to another episode. That's something that I would very much like to see. And I do love the idea that CIG is coming out and saying that, no, there are going to be paint jobs that you can only get through UEC in the persistent universe, that you can only get for playing the game, instead of just, flipping your credit card and just getting, oh, I want this, I want that. That is kind of an important thing to see. I'm fine with people being able to buy certain paint jobs, but I would like for there to be some very cool paint jobs that you earn by actually playing the game and not just spending money. And so they did kind of say that is going to be a thing, and hopefully it's something that they're going to expand about or expand upon. But we'll talk about that in a future Piracy Show episode. But that is going to be a cool feature. So you are going to be able to go through and start customizing your ships. The fact that it's set as a livery, or like basically a controlled set of options, is something that I'm kind of not entirely a fan of. I'm going to give the system time to breathe, and I'm going to kind of maybe suggest some improvements. But if it's strictly based on pre-approved paint jobs by the art team, then there is a downside to that. I do prefer to have the options for uniqueness. I would like to have liveries, but I would also like to have access to a palette, so that for certain ships I can do an all matte black, or maybe for another ship I can do all chrome or something like that. I would like to have a certain amount of personal customization available. So hopefully that's something that comes in the future, but that is going to be largely, driven by community suggestions and feedback over time, but something to think about. Now, we've got to, of course, address the one issue that came up today on Star Citizen Live. Some of you probably already know what I'm going to talk about and know my particular history with this ship. This sad, sad ship that seemed like it was finally going to see the light of day, or begin to see the light of day. Unfortunately, that has been snatched away. And I did not mean to rhyme there. It was just fortuitous. Yes, the Banu Merchantman a ship that is a concept ship that is so old that if it was a person, it would already be attending grade 1. It would be dressing itself. It would be talking. It would be going to school. It would be beginning its life. Sadly, the Banu Merchantman, though, is not and has moved very, very, very little over the years. Now, there's a number of minor issues that come with creating an alien ship. Certainly we saw that with the Defender, and that was something that they highlighted as one of the challenges that they are facing with the Banu Merchantman. But many of you will know that after the Carrack, the next ship that was supposed to go in, as stated by CIG and once again reconfirmed today, was that the next ship was supposed to be the Banu Merchantman, or Banu Merchantman. And that is not the case. The Banu Merchantman has been pushed again. Now, I mean, it's become a meme. So many times we have heard like CIG say like, oh, maybe the Merchantman. And I think the first time that we really got that hint was around the time that the Caterpillar went into production. You'll remember that probably the first time that this channel got any real notoriety in the Star Citizen community was after I made a video detailing why both this ship and the Caterpillar were ships that should go into production. And that was kind of in response to the fact that on the old Reverse the Verse, way back, a couple of CIG staffers who are answering ship questions, when people asked about the Merchantman and the Caterpillar, they laughed, right? And like they giggled about it, and I took, I was offended by that, because here were people who had spent money supporting the game, supporting them, making the game, who are asking about what's the status update of this thing that I spent all this money on, and they just kind of laughed at them. And in all fairness, people make mistakes, and those two staffers are no longer at CIG, and quite frankly, good riddance. But the Banu Merchantman has just become the Merchantman meme. It's it's kind of, it's tragic at this point. Now, apparently, I guess for efficiency's sake or whatever, two ships are now stepping into the production slot that the Banu Merchantman would have otherwise occupied. And, I guess they want to take a break after the Defender, take a step back and rethink maybe how they're going to do some of the ship. The reconcepting was mentioned to a certain degree. I don't think that it's going to be like totally change the shape or how it works, though. Who knows? Were things that they talked about, I mean, they're obviously going to face challenges when you're talking about bringing a concept from an era when the game was so vastly different into the now and keeping it true to the original concept, which is also something that they discussed on Friday, is going to be challenging, and maybe they need some time to set that up. And so I could understand if they wanted to a certain degree, I can understand that they wanted to take a step back and look at it again and say, oh, maybe how can we do this better? How can we better bring the ship to life? And so I agree to a certain degree, but at the same time, I feel that it's become a meme. It's become a joke. The Banu Merchantman. It's like how many years now, right? That we've been looking at the same concept art, asking the question, and just kind of getting, a laugh to an eye roll to a, well, we're thinking about it type answer. Honestly, maybe it does need some reconcepting. Maybe it does need a little bit of extra work, but I mean, I feel like it's kind of something that, you can say, oh, it's just another cargo ship, blah, blah, blah. But I think that it's a little bit more than that. And the longer that it lingers in limbo, it just kind of becomes kind of like a symbol of failure. So I don't know. It's kind of a tough one. You know, if someone said to me, like, we can do the Corsair or we can do the Merchantman, I'd be like, yeah, fuck you, Merchantman. No, I would really like to see the Merchantman kind of get the attention that it needs. I would like to see some updates on some reconcepting, and then I would like to see it just pushed into production. I understand if you need to take a step back to kind of work on it, but I would love to see this ship get done. And because, to be perfectly honest, I would love to start talking about this ship and not have to show the same concept art from years and years and years ago whenever I talk about it, and instead show some actual in-game screenshots or gameplay. Let's get it done. Let's just get it done and put it to rest. Now, there are some other ships that fit into that category as well, to a lesser degree. So with that, as far as I saw, there was really nothing else out there of real substance worth talking about. A few hints and tidbits that we'll use for future episodes, but really, apart from that, those are the big things. And if I were you, I would definitely take a look at that Cutlass Blue and keep an eye out for the replacement Redeemer, because those gunships are really, really useful in the persisting universe. They are great ships, and I think CIG has an opportunity to really knock one out of the park with this if they use that opportunity correctly. But apart from that, that's the show. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and have a good weekend.
Thank you for watching. So if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron 42's development, please follow us on our social media channels. See you soon.